Wonderful.
Yes.
That's wonderful. That gives folks. It should give some folks that some hope and some trust.
Yes, absolutely.
That help is there.
Absolutely.
And that's really, I guess, the fundamental thing is, as you and I have talked, that organizations like CAN are providing folks.
Yes.
Hope.
Yes.
Right. Hope.
Yes. I mean, at the end of the day, we really want people to know that there are organizations like Community Assistance Network that are out there that our primary mission is to really help people. And we know that, as Debbie shared, there's going to be more and more people knocking on our doors. I mean, we're seeing increases in our food pantry. We're seeing, a lot of people coming into our homeless shelters, and we don't quite frankly have the resources. So we're looking for opportunities to expand our resources.
So it's time for folks that are doing well in a recession to step up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
How can they help?
Well, a number of ways. They can volunteer with us from a program standpoint. They can volunteer in any of our shelters. They can come in and work with our pantry.
And flexible hours.
Flexible hours. Whatever they're willing and able to do, we can work around that. We're looking for policy board members. From the planning part of it, as Debbie talked about, where we want to really think about how do we expand some of the services that we have with the resources, because we do want to connect with that business community, because they're part of the community. We're part of the community. The public sector is part of the community. So we want to really engage more people in that process.
So let's underline that. Business is welcome.
Absolutely.
Business is encouraged.
We'd love to come talk to you about
great partnership opportunities.
Yes.
Yeah, and a way to get the word out, too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I know my attitude towards BGD has improved greatly in knowing you, Debbie.
Well, that's great. I'm glad to hear it.
Oh, it's true. It's true, because BG&E is out there, and I wasn't aware, really, until I got involved really with CAN, with the Anti-Poverty Agency, how much BG&E does do.
BG is a pretty large corporate partner, and Constellation Energy overall, so is a pretty large corporate partner in the Baltimore community and across Maryland, actually, because we don't have just offices in Baltimore. And people that work at BG are a very caring community, going out and volunteering, whether it be with the Community Assistance Network or fundraising for a charity, working in the shelters, United Way Day of Caring. A lot of things happen there. We live in these communities that we serve. And so
fellow citizens.
Absolutely, and so it's important for us for our communities to succeed.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you. We just have a couple minutes left, Tony. Let's talk about what needs to be done. What needs to be done? And I know, folks need to step up. We've talked about how folks need to step up. Businesses that are doing well, people that are doing well out there need to step up and help, because there's a level of need out there in Baltimore County as well as in the rest of the state that's I shouldn't say unprecedented, but very high.
Yeah, and in Baltimore County, sometimes folks think that we don't have a problem, we don't have an issue with poverty in our county. But I can tell you that my last 2 years of high school, and as Debbie talked about, she graduated from a local Baltimore County school. I can tell you that stepping up and giving back is the most important thing that we can do for our community. I mean, it really is how you give back.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
What needs to be done at the state level? I know what legislation, are there changes that would help local providers of services to the vulnerable?
Yeah, the first step is what we did a couple of months back is to really have an opportunity to have conversations with our local legislators to make sure that they understand some of the challenges that we're having on the front lines, because I think sometimes that disconnect is really a disservice to the community that we serve. So, the first really step is to really have them understand what we're doing and how we can be a resource for those folks as well.
Amen. I tell folks that I talk to about my service with CAN that, first of all, you got to remember that most of the people that are poor are children.
Yes. Yes.
Most of the people that are poor are are women with children. So if we're talking about cutting poverty funds, or if we're talking about not increasing things, or getting folks to work, or whatever it is, or whatever kind of condemnation it is, remember that it's women with dependent young children.
Absolutely. 2/3 of the people
that we in the shelter.
Yes. 2/3 of the people that we deal with are the children.
2/3.
Really, when
Wow.
you're talking about poverty in the state of Maryland, you're really talking about a children's issue.
Wow. It is a children's issue.
It's a children's issue.
Yeah.
These mothers with children is really who we deal with.
And increasingly intact families with dependent children.
We're seeing more and more every day knocking on our doors needing services.
My goodness, so much to be done. Could you give us that contact information one more time, please, for the Community Assistance Network?
410-285-4674. Our website is www.canconnects.org.
Great, thank you. Debbie, what would you add? What would you add?
Well, I
We've
think
got about a minute or so left.
I think that now is the time for those that have to give back and to help those that don't have right now, because, you know, that could be us one day, and the tables can always turn, and the increased need is there, and we're not going to, the funding dollars are definitely tight, and we talked before about the volunteers. You know, we definitely need volunteers. We need financial resources as well, to just be able to provide for these people that are involved in the Community Assistance Network, and you're right, most of them are children at this point.
Yeah, well said, thank you. It is incumbent upon us too, isn't it?
It is.
You know, as fellow citizens, as neighbors, to, whether it's a recession or not, whether it's a economic downturn, economic upturn, there are always folks that need help. This is a period when there's more people help, and we've seen some increase in giving.
Yes.
There is. The report is.
Yeah,
you would agree?
People tend to really want to help, and again, you know, there are folks who are more fortunate than others, and realize, I mean, you can just turn on a TV screen and see, you know, a guy who was making $750,000 a year who's now making $750,000, you know, delivering pizza. So those kinds of things are happening across the board. But there's also, you know, those folks who don't have, who give. And that's what we're really looking for. Yeah. And that's why the church community is so important.
Yeah. So I hope folks take away from watching this show today that the need is out there, that there's hope out there, and that there's services out there.
Absolutely.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, that's all we have time for today. I want to thank our guests, Mr. Tony Coffield, who's Executive Director for the Community Assistance Network. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Keep up your good work for all of us.
Thank you.
You're a great advocate for the vulnerable and the not so vulnerable.
That's right.
And Ms. Deborah Harris, who is President of the Board of Directors of the Community Assistance Network. Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you, Bill.
Keep up your good work, too.
Thank you. You as well.
Thank you. For Neighborhood Beat, that's all we have time for today. I want to thank you for tuning in. Let's try to be a good neighbor out there, and we'll see you next time.